Hello to my two favorite ears, and those are yours. It's Rebecca here. Time to talk about your ears again. What are we going to talk about today, Rebecca? I want to talk about hearing loss configurations or hearing loss shapes. In line with that, I also plan to make a couple of very general hearing aid suggestions or hearing aid recommendations based upon what type of hearing loss you have. Now, I plan to be pretty general, as I previously stated here today. These are not names of hearing aids per se. I might bring up some as examples, but it's not to advertise specific types of hearing aids or review them. The point of this is really to get a general sense of what types of styles you would generally be looking at. This isn't necessarily what is going to be done clinically every time. It's a little bit different in the real world. So don't take these suggestions and then if you don't qualify for that in the real world, think that something is wrong. I recognize that there's a lot of things out there that could make what I'm saying not the best option for you. Alright, I think that's everything. Enough disclaimers. Let's get started. The first shape and the most common shape we generally see in the clinic is going to be a gently sloping hearing loss. Gently sloping hearing losses are usually what you see at the beginning of the hearing loss whenever it's due to aging or presbycusis. The way our inner ear is set up is that the higher frequency sounds hit the beginning point of the cochlea where the outside most of it occurs, and then the lower pitch sounds go further in and hit where the center of the cochlea is, which is much more housed in our skull. Because of this, any sort of really wear and tear hearing loss is going to generally occur in those higher frequencies. The good news about it is that most of the products are relatively good at treating it because it's so common. A lot of products that have kind of middle tier speakers on them, middle volume speakers, generally say that they fit about 80% of people because it's about 80% of people that come in and have that type of hearing loss, unless you have a clinic that specifically markets to people that are a little bit more unusual or more significant cases. At least in the hearing aid specialist world, that's really the most of what you should see. These people, though, are definitely the classic RIC candidates. It would depend on what their concerns are. If they were concerned about the profile of it, I'd go with kind of like a size 10 RIC, something really small, but it would still be behind the ear. If they were looking at something sleek, rechargeable, then I might go with maybe some sort of style type RIC, stiletto RIC, or just a general chargeable mid-sized RIC, but anything I would choose would probably be a RIC for this person. The second configuration I would talk about would be probably a noise notch. This is probably the second most common hearing loss that I see on a day-to-day basis. A noise notch occurs, as one would suspect, due to noise. Oh my god, that felt so patronizing. Usually what you see is a pretty good low frequency range, and then as it gets into a mid sort of high level, it will drop down significantly. But unlike a slope, it tends to bounce back upwards, even if it doesn't make it all the way back up to normal range when you get into the higher stuff like maybe 6,000 or 8,000. You guys did not wear earplugs. Probably also be the other common RIC candidates. Maybe with a mold if the notch is really, really bad, although you get a little bit of room usually with these notches. Area to see them is 2,000 to 4,000 hertz, and luckily our noggins tend to reverberate right around that area, so you can get a little bit better of a response in that region with most hearing aids. So usually it'll work with just a dome, but for various reasons a mold might also be necessary if it's severe, or if they have retention issues, other things. Probably like halfway done with this video, and all I've talked about are RICs. Well, the fun part of these people, it tends to be the counseling. We get them all the time, who fit into the gentle slope or the noise notch category, and they want CICs. They will do nothing if they can't get their CICs. They want it small, they want it the smaller the better, and they won't give that up. And they may be right. Sometimes they have to keep it low profile for, professional reasons. Maybe they're a truck driver and they've got to wear that chunky headset. Maybe they deal with communications on a military base and they can't have anything that has Bluetooth at all. Now, who legitimately would fall into the CIC category? That's who we're going to talk about next with my favoritely named hearing loss. The cookie bite! Unfortunately, though, this really cute named hearing loss really sucks. These hearing losses tend to be hereditary and or congenital. They may occur at birth or they may start to occur as the person starts to age. These might be kids where a hearing loss is suspected or maybe mild symptoms are shown, but oftentimes nothing, at least historically, has been done about it. What makes it so frustrating is the fact that it's the middle region that's missing. That's the most important for any form of communication. These would be your real CIC people. Or maybe a half shell if they want convenient stuff. Convenience features. The Bluetooth. The charging. The other generally congenital, potentially hearing loss that you might see is a reverse slope hearing loss, where the lows tend to be the issue and the higher pitches are usually okay. This would also be a candidate for customs, but probably not a CIC. You want something with real full closure. Hearing aids have very small speakers. They have to be small. So you've got to trap that bass noise. You can't deal with heavy bass in a small speaker, and for that reason you have got to just trap it in the ear canal. If you want something behind the ear, it has to have a mold. If you want a custom, it's probably got to be a little bit bigger. Again, closure is the most important thing for these people. With these reverse people though, you also need to just confirm the legitimacy of it. I am wary to fit low frequency losses that don't know their low frequency losses. This can be the sign of infection, head cold, eustachian tube problems. There's a lot of stuff. So you want to make sure that there's always bone conduction. And, I know I would be suspicious if I saw some really sharp reverse slope and I didn't know why. That being said, you do sometimes see sharp slopes in the other direction, what we call precipitous slopes. I like that we use a huge word for that, and then we also use cookie bite. These people are also RIC candidates if they have a precipitous loss, but sometimes they need a little bit more than just a RIC. I guess the next video on the docket's going to have to be frequency compression, which is what I'm talking about here. And why it is terrible, but sometimes a godsend that's totally necessary. For these people, it is the godsend, and these are the people that I would always recommend it to. Talk about the RIC's big brother, the traditional BTE. They're starting to go out of style, but there's still times to use them. At this time, if I had a child who needed a hearing aid, I would use a traditional BTE, because if I used a RIC, then my children would probably break those wires relatively often. Tubes are cheap. Ear molds are easy to replace as the child gets to be older and older and needs different sizes. And, I could probably do tubing at home if I were a parent that, saw how to do it. Some people just like the weight of a BTE. They've been wearing it for so long that they don't want to switch to these little RICs that they feel like could fall off their ear at any time. Or ear drainage that requires a little bit of help. If you put a RIC speaker right into their ear with just a dome to protect it, then it's very easy for it to constantly become flooded with wax, fluid, whatever you're dealing with. The last reason I'd probably use a traditional BTE instead of a RIC would be when I'm dealing with somebody who doesn't have as good mobility. Maybe they have staff working for them as a nursing staff. BTEs are always a lot easier for somebody else to control on the outside if you have the inability to control them by yourself. Well, that's about all I have for today. Definitely have more videos planned in the future. Subscribe to our videos, ring the bell, all that good stuff. them too, kitty. Oh, I love them so much. All right, have a good week. I'll see you guys later. Bye.